Hello, this is Angelique Clemens. I am the host of the Can I Borrow Your Skin podcast. And today I really want to focus on my lettuce and talk a little bit about my herbs and a little bit about my asparagus over there. I know I mentioned them earlier. And we're on my deck. I do have some lettuce on my deck. All my herbs are on my deck. My asparagus is on my deck. And so one of the first things you will see from this lettuce is the fact that it is quite small. And so here I have some black seeded Simpson. As you can see, I actually do have one that has started to bolt. You can see that really well in this angle. And then there's some here that is not bolted at all. What do I mean by bolting? You can see that it is pretty much a stick with little leaves coming off of it. And as you look, you can see that the stem is starting to produce some really thin milk. And if your branches aren't also producing that milk, you can still eat this lettuce. So I am going to keep this lettuce for consumption. You can see my herbs here. And actually one of the important things, I have my perennial herbs, so herbs that will keep coming back, with the exception of my oregano. That is an annual. You have my basil here, which is also one you have to plant annually. And I'm going to dot down some of my tops so it is encouraged not to bolt. I encourage people to actually use very sharp knives when they are cutting, because last thing you want is, there's that hornet again, very dull pieces of equipment when you're trying to cut off into your fruits and vegetables. They don't like it, or your herbs. So there is a bunch of thyme. I'm a huge fan of thyme. Obviously some rosemary. It's kind of funny because if you look close enough, there's a weed trying to get in there with my lavender. So we're going to go ahead and move that guy out of the way. Apologies for my dress. It's kind of windy out. It's going to rain tonight, which is a good thing. So my dress keeps flying in the way. I always put citronella out every season. It deters mosquitoes, and mosquitoes like me too much. So I want to keep them away as much as possible. Last thing I'm going to talk about on this video is going to be my asparagus. You can see it's very tall. It's kind of flowing in the wind. It kind of looks like, I don't know, a fern. It's actually in the lily family. And one of the things with asparagus, it will actually grow like a baby asparagus and then grow this fern-like structure. And you'll see what looks like a baby asparagus. Do not pick it. It takes several years to propagate asparagus. And so you will see this for a couple years. And after about 3 years, you will start to get like thick asparagus. And that's when you can start, harvesting it. One of the cool things with asparagus, yes, it takes 3 years or so to get it to grow. But once you get it planted and you get it established, it will stay for about 15 years. So I have it on my deck because I didn't want to put it in my garden because I like rotating my garden. And so I put it on my deck in a row. They call them urban pots because they're small, and you could actually grow a nice little garden in those individually, but I just do asparagus in one and lettuce in the other. So that's important to note as well with your asparagus. I try to plant all of my perennial herbs in one pot, and if I have too many, because like my thyme, I love thyme goes crazy, then I will spread it out. I actually have 2 thyme plants, so I have the one in the middle here, and then I have one in the middle here that is parsley, curly parsley, and I've already talked about my bay. Now bay will grow inside. Most herbs will actually grow inside. They don't have to be outside, especially if you want to keep them for the next year. I'm actually going to cut more lettuce here because this plant is not doing as great as I would like it. So my harvest here of my deck is not doing as great as I would like. Some people will say, well, why don't you just pull it up? There's a good reason for that. If I leave the roots here in the spring of next year, they will come up. They will come up bolted, but that lets me know, okay, the ground is ready the weather is ready for me to plant lettuce. The sooner you plant your lettuce, the more lettuce you can get out of it. If you are someone who has already pulled up their lettuce, that's fine. Just throw some seeds down near the end of the season and it'll do the same thing. It'll come up. It may still come up bolted just because it was in the ground all winter, but that gives you a good idea of when to plant your lettuce crop. So that's about all I have today on lettuce, asparagus, and herbs. I will say, if you have a good plant going, like my basil's doing really well right now, and so is my parsley. If you want to take that up, my oregano is starting to bolt. But one of the things, if you crop your head off some of your plants that are starting to bolt, or you have some that aren't bolted yet and you want to knock them down, your plant will still have leaves that won't bolt. So good little tip there. Once it starts to bolt, that doesn't mean it's the end all of your plant. It just means you can crop it and still get some good herb from it. But like, they can be moved inside if you have small pots, like the pot I'm growing my citronella in. If you have enough sunlight, you can transplant those indoors and keep them all season, and then bring them back outdoors, either in the pot or you can put them into the dirt. And the reason why we're looking at the lettuce specifically today is I want to talk about, sorry, that grasshopper right there just scared the shit out of me. Do you guys see him? There you go. I want to talk about the process of harvesting lettuce and some of the cool things you can do with lettuce. As you can see, I have several heads of lettuce here, and I'm actually going to get really up close and personal with the lettuce, because if you see here, this is actually one very, very, very small head of lettuce versus this one here, which is actually a very, very large head of lettuce. And that is because I do this process called cut and come. And what cut and come does is it allows me to harvest my lettuce several times. So I'm going to see if I can show you guys how to cut and come this lettuce on camera. So you can see here, this is a very, very large head of lettuce. And what you do with cut and come lettuce is you try to cut it near the bottom. And so that would be about here. And with cutting it about here, and you can see it's about 1 inch to 2 inches, you want to leave the stalk parts intact. And what that does is it allows the lettuce to grow back. So let's get a quick little cut. So as you can see here, I have cut that head of lettuce. It's a pretty nice head of lettuce. And this is actually from one seed, one plant, and lettuce, like many other plants, will split on themselves. And now with that up, you can actually see that has clearly been cut already. And the cool things about cut and come lettuce, it's several things. One, you can get up to 3 to 5 harvests. You can get 3 to 5 harvests of one head of lettuce, and that's really important. You want to make sure that when you are cutting your lettuce, again, you want to go about 1 inch, 1.5 inches to 2 inches above. When you are trying to do cut and come lettuce, you don't want to wait too late in the season. It is still August here, and so we have plenty of time. We had a good lettuce season this year because it has not gotten too hot. Around 80 degrees is ideal for lettuce here in Michigan. So we had a great season. We had a couple really hot days, which really, really affected my cucumber this year. I have harvested one. I believe I only got pickling cucumbers this year. So you can see one guy over there coming in. I have one that's over here doing some funky little deformation growing. But you want to make sure that when you are, and there's a hornet, you let the head get mature before you start to cut it. You don't want to cut something that small because it's going to encourage it not to grow because it thinks it is in a hostile growing environment. So you want to make sure you keep that in mind. There are some lettuce that just don't do cut and come. Like iceberg is not a cut and come kind of lettuce. You want to have, like, as you can see, a very leafy kind of lettuce. Your romaines, your butter crunches, black seeded Simpson. Those are all very good with cut and come.